You're at your old trusty boat. You call my tea sparrow. I'm in the city of Mardi Gras.
Welcome to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we hear stories from everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand.
People can hear it.
All right, we've got Adine here. I got that right this time. I'm kind of a moron. Welcome to the show, Adine. How's it going?
How are you?
Very good. Thank you for not only coming, but she showed up with presents,
Yeah,
which
well-
that's a first here on the Sailing
Well,
into
you're
Oblivion.
hosting, so you get presents. That's how it works.
Thank you. You want to just put that mic just a little closer to you? There we go. That
How's that?
should be perfect. Awesome. Well, I always start out the same way. What'd you sail in here on?
It's a 1977 or 78 Endeavor 32 that Matt has owned. My partner has owned for about 8 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we bought it from his ex in the summer of last year, and we built it out with solar and batteries and water filtration. And we had this idea that we were just going to go, like, give up all our shit and go.
Was it in rough shape? Or?
No, it was in great shape. Matt's
Oh.
maintained it beautifully over the
You
years.
just outfitted it for...
We just outfitted it for off-grid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, which was, interesting. And Matt is an electrician, so he's like, I got it. I said, okay, you go for it.
Done, yeah.
it
So
was
are
awesome.
you even hooked into the shore power here?
We are. Yeah,
You are, yeah.
We can. And it's hooked up kind of cool. We have water. We collect water from different sources on the
Oh,
boat.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't have the, you can't suck up salt water.
Right.
The desalinization filtration. We don't have that part of our system. But
Neither do I. I have just one of those little emergency hand pumps.
Yeah.
For when I'm, way out there and
Yeah,
stuff.
So
but
you're mostly at a marina.
yeah, and just I catch as much as I can. I wouldn't do it around here. There's so much pollution in the
Yeah,
air,
and the
but
pollen.
the
Oh,
pollen alone
God,
would be
everything
super
is
gross.
yellow.
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of interesting though. I didn't realize just how fun it would actually be to take on the challenge of becoming like off grid.
Oh yeah.
On a boat. Like initially I remember when I first got the solar installed and had the little control box and I'd be able to watch it, and then all of a sudden I kept looking at it all the time like, ooh, how much power am I
then
producing?
You added an inverter, and then
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Put some extra outlets in there, and
Do you guys have solar?
we have solar. We have. Oh man,
Do you have wind?
Matt's gonna kill me if I get this wrong. No, we don't have wind.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna have to ask him another time. We have 2 lithium batteries. I think they're 100 watt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know how they're described.
Right,
I know
right.
That's silly, but it's not my job, so I kind of
No. That's
don't have
totally
enough
fine.
room in my head to store all that information.
Well, let me ask you this: how many panels do you have?
We have 2 panels. I think they're 1,000 watt each.
That's huge.
No, okay, so that's not right. 200.
Yeah, that'd
Okay.
be like a mid to larger size
Yeah.
panel. So
And so we have 2 lithium batteries, and he's got the charge controller, and he has the inverter, so we can turn that on if we want to run off our stored battery.
yeah, if you want to plug
energy,
something
right.
in,
so
right?
If we're out anchored somewhere, and we need some power. But he also has the original system set up also, which is the deep cell batteries.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That run the lights and the starter and all that kind of stuff. So we have that also.
Right.
So we have 2 systems on there.
Oh, okay. So I think, I in my head, what I'm imagining is you've got the old school, almost like car batteries, like I have on here.
We do.
And then you've got the actual like lithium ion.
Right. And that runs
new,
all
awesome
the new
batteries.
stuff that
Yeah.
we, when we decided to live aboard, it runs all that stuff.
Well, and lithium really has the advantage just because you can actually use all of the electricity that's in them,
One would think,
or almost
except
all
we
of that.
did that one time and we burned out our batteries.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow! I didn't even
So
know. I thought
luckily
they
they were under warranty and the company replaced them, but we burned our lithium batteries like.
Jeez!
Yeah.
Holy cow!
And we
wow.
didn't even run that much. Like, we cook with a camp stove.
Yeah.
Our refrigerator is like cooler shaped,
Right.
you know, and it runs DC, but it's not that much, right? We
Yeah.
keep it at like 6 degrees Celsius, 5. And
Chilly.
it's cold, but it doesn't freeze anything. So this one you can't. Some of them are half freezer, half refrigerator.
I've never really. In mine, it's just like one of those what you'd find in a college refrigerator,
Like the front open,
and it has the little tiny
no.
icebox. You couldn't even put a thing at Ben and Jerry's in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have that kind, so I can't speak for that. But I'm betting that you probably couldn't keep anything frozen for any decent period of time. But it might do well with, like, if you buy a large amount of salmon or something like that. Like, let's say you catch a fish and it's big. You don't. I mean, how much?
If you
fish
wanted
can
something
you eat?
really cold, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So if you have to keep it for like a week or a few days to a week, it would probably be okay.
Well, and so that fridge is going to be your biggest power draw, like it is on this boat, right? Because you don't have AC or anything, do you?
No, we don't.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. We thought about that. We didn't install it. We figured we'd deal with that when we had to deal with it, and I think basically it was just not going to happen. Aside from don't they do it with water?
Yeah, you can have, because Richard has one,
You
and
hear it draining
Carrie
on
and
people's
Aaron.
boats all the time.
Yeah, it's like a reverse something heater / air conditioner.
Right.
But for me, it just sounds complicated and expensive.
Yeah, no, we didn't set that up either.
No,
I don't know. I mean,
my little fans
so
here.
expensive to me is always like, how much time do you think you're gonna try and figure out how to do it yourself,
And replace parts when it breaks,
or even just have the extra parts on board, which is
Yeah.
always a challenge.
my mantra always on this boat has been simple, simple,
Right.
simple.
And
Keep
don't go
it.
too far offshore because you probably forgot the part you need.
Well, that's not my mantra. I go as far
No,
as I
know.
can.
Yeah.
But no, in the Caribbean, I had brought down one of those little, like the smallest AC window unit, and I had that on the boat when I was on a dock. But it was so rare that I was on a dock, so I almost never. I ended up just leaving it with a friend down there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because with just those solar panels, and I do have like a wind one, but it's a super cheap one, so
Yeah, they don't always work.
they don't work very well, and I
Right.
can't stand the noise.
Right.
And when it, pipes up in the middle of the night,
Right.
you have to sort of get up and watch and be like, okay, is it gonna?
Is it going to blow off?
Yeah, is it gonna
Am I-
need?
is it gonna
Is
give
it gonna
me
need me
power?
to stop
Do I really
it?
need this power right now?
And they
Yeah.
usually have, automatic brakes and things like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it, for whatever reason, when it was really pumping, I'd see like 16, 18 volts going into the batteries, which is really bad. So
Yeah.
who knows? I don't know.
It's very. It's not confusing. I understand that if you just take the time to learn it, you can live with
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But it just seems overwhelming when you're thinking about everything else too, and this is your first time out, and you're just kind of like, okay, let's go do this.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
And you have everything else to think about, like what do you store on board to eat, how much water, So it's been fun. It's been interesting. It's that not boring thing that we both kind of were looking for.
Well, it is. It is a
Yeah.
bit of an adventure. I mean, it doesn't. You don't have to cross an ocean. It's just about being on the water, and
It's
you're
challenging. It's harder than everybody thinks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because your house now essentially can
Right.
sink.
Right. And what do you grab first? And you're supposed to have
Yeah.
a grab bag. And
Gotta have your grab
Do
bag.
you have a grab bag?
I do. Yeah. It's but it's again for me. My situation would be I'm in the middle of an ocean somewhere,
Right.
and there's like
Doesn't-
I'm going to be on my own
Yeah.
until
Right.
the EPIRB signal gets picked
Right,
up
right,
and
right.
somebody comes out.
Right.
But
Yeah.
You
We don't have that. We don't need it. We're just coming down this inside river.
right. Well, where did you guys start?
We started from Philly. Well, just north
okay.
of Philly.
Gotcha.
We were in, I guess, Bensalem, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
in a marina there, and we left there in pea soup fog on the morning of late October.
Yeah.
And we literally didn't see any boats. We saw 2 boats by the time we got to the C&D channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we went from Philly all the way down, like hours.
Yeah.
There were bridges that came up. The Ben Franklin Bridge, which is huge. And
Oh,
Like-
like just coming out of the mist.
yeah, literally in front of you.
Right.
You figure, oh, it's a huge bridge. We're going to see it way back there. No, like, yeah. it was cool. It was
Oh
cool.
my gosh.
It was interesting.
That's always pretty nerve-wracking for me,
It all
getting
worked out,
in
you
the
know.
fog. I remember quite a few incidents up near like George's Bank in Cape Cod where I'd be just totally socked in,
Yeah.
and all these fishing boats and stuff would be popping up on the AIS, but
Right.
then disappearing
Yeah.
because they're sort of turning their things on and off
Yeah.
because they don't want to give away all their
Yeah,
spots.
yeah,
But
where they're at.
so you
just
can't
go
see
slow
them. You
and you-
kind of hear them. Yeah, it is one of those things.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It unnerves me
It
for
wasn't.
sure.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like that up there because honestly, nobody's fishing in the Delaware River.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it was.
Is that like
It's a commercial.
yeah? I mean, it's all brown water
It
basically,
is,
and yeah,
and it's
okay.
been dredged. You know, so it used to be dredged all the way up past where I grew up in Levittown. That was like the steel mill. Levittown was like the first suburb in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so all this sprawl is Levittown was responsible for
Oh,
suburban
wow.
sprawl
They
in this
they led
country.
the
He
led the charge.
revolution. Yeah, and it was a great place to grow up. At the time it was nice, but yeah, so they had steel mills and different large corporations that manufactured things. 3M was there.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Roman Haas, U.S. Steel.
huge.
Yeah, so they dredged the river to like 50, 60 feet. So that these
to get all the
ocean-going-
shipping. Yeah,
like
okay.
huge ships would come up. That we would spend days, evenings. My mom raised me by herself. She didn't have much money, and so she always found cool things to do
Go and watch
that
the
were
ships.
free.
Yeah.
So we would either watch like the airplanes come in on a landing strip, or we would go down to the river and she'd pack dinner. Or
Oh,
sandwiches.
that's cool.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was neat, and but that has all disappeared. So they,
Oh, all that big industry and
yeah,
stuff.
so it's rare to see. At one point, there was a company making windmills on the grounds of U.S. Steel in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Massive windmills that you see offshore.
Yeah, with like 80.
Yeah, and you'd see them
foot-long
going down
blades.
95, going south on 95.
Yeah,
on these
yeah.
big trucks to get delivered. It was cool.
Oh man.
But that only lasted a couple years.
So is it all sort of vacated
It
old
has,
industry?
and like it's happened on the residents to absorb the tax burden that these large corporations. used to take.
Just basically
So,
shucked off and said, well,
yeah. So the housing values have gone down because you can't work. You know what I mean? There's not a whole lot of work,
right.
and the schools district. Therefore, the taxes going into the schools have gone down, and the schools are not that great, so people don't want to move there.
Oh, it's a
Then if
vicious
you do
cycle.
buy
Yeah.
a cheap house there, your taxes are really high because you're bearing the burden of all
Right,
the industry
right,
that they
right.
lost. It's an interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I see that anytime I'm going home to Michigan because
Yeah.
obviously I go through
Yeah.
Detroit and it's that same sort of. Although, I think the most astounding like area like that I've ever seen is Gary, Indiana.
I hear that. I mean, we've seen documentaries on.
Holy
that.
cow.
Is it really that bad?
It's literally, you go from 1 minute, there's like green grass and trees, and the next minute, it's
Philly's
just
like that.
miles upon miles of ancient smokestacks. Some of the industry's still going down there,
Oh,
but a
that's
lot of it's
amazing.
just completely. But there are these gigantic dinosaur looking buildings. I mean, it's awe inspiring when you look at it,
Yeah.
but you realize that it's all pretty
well, when you
bad
consider
pollution.
the technology and the ingenuity and the excitement that went behind building all that stuff, when that's what they thought would help.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? There was a
that
time
was
when people
progress.
thought-
It was like,
yeah.
whoa, here we go.
Right, they were progressive. It's a
That's the
different
sort of
meaning
stuff
now,
that,
but
yeah, it built the backbone of the country.
Right,
You
and
know?
it provided for a lot of opportunity for a lot of people, and I guess it's a hard pill to swallow. That's
It built the tanks that won the
kind of
war.
not available anymore. So
Yeah.
things change and you adapt, which is kind of what we're doing, and it's surprising to me. Not surprise. Well, it's warming to me to see people your age just saying, you know what, we're not going to go for the huge college
Yeah, it
bill,
is
and
cool,
we're
isn't
not
it?
going for the $250,000 house, and we're not mortgaging ourselves until we're 70.
Right.
And you're saying, you know what, I can do this without you. You're not going to give me a job with a pension in 20 years. I'll work for myself, make more money. I'll invest my own money.
Well, and most people seem
Love
to
it.
be having way more fun and just, I don't know, living life more fully
Yeah.
when they're out on these boats. I mean, there was another guy, Eli. Did you know Eli
No,
up
so
there?
I met. Well, yes, technically I know.
Technically,
Eli.
you know Eli.
When we arrived on that rainy Saturday,
Yeah.
Eli was leaving.
Oh,
So we
okay.
literally passed each other.
Right.
And so he was getting off on his boat, and we were already tied up. So Matt was on our boat on Glitter still, and so I ran over and I said, "You guys need any help?" Because he had his friends and they were all doing shit.
Yeah.
No, we're okay. And I mean that those 10-minute, those 2-minute conversations you have with people where you learn so much about them.
I know. Well, Eli was like that.
Yeah.
When he got on here, we started just scratching the surface on the bees and all that.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah.
I don't think he's actually made it back to Philly yet.
Really?
Supposedly, that's the rumor mill around here.
Yeah.
But
well, I would believe that. It took us ages to get down. Like
Well-
this is as far as we were going to go to the Bahamas.
oh,
and then
really?
Because of all the COVID bullshit,
Yeah.
we were like, okay, we're just going to go to the Keys.
I
But
think
this is as far as we made it.
a lot
We
of
got-
people are sort of just like, you know what? The plans we had for this year, let's just do it next year.
Right. You take opportunity where you find it, and we thought this has been such a great place to us. Like we don't.
Oh, so neat, isn't it?
It's I'm shocked.
It's a diamond
I'm
in the
pleased.
rough. You wouldn't even know it's
Well,
here.
no, people know they're coming. There's houses are selling like crazy.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But this marina is such a gem.
I know. It's
Yeah.
so cool. A friend recommended it to me years ago, and this is only my second winter down here, and I was only here for like half of last year, but I don't know. It's been great. I'm looking forward to all of April, and then all of May, and then I go north, but
Yeah.
who knows? Hopefully I'll be able to come back, but we'll see.
Yeah. We don't know. I mean, our plan is to go back home over the summer like we did last year from Key Largo.
Oh, okay. So you still have to go further south?
We can do whatever we want.
That was a trick question.
Like we
No.
told everybody, I kind of feel like we told everybody we'll be back in June, but now I kind of feel like we lied.
Right,
It's
right.
not that we lied. It's just that you can't live like this and make plans.
No, not real hard concrete plans.
I mean, you can say yes, this is our goal,
Yeah.
but then something's going to happen. Something's going to, it could either be a bad thing or a good thing. Something will happen, and you'll say, you know what? Hey, we're just staying here right now
Right, right.
for a little bit.
No, exactly. Well, and that is one of the nicest parts, just being able to sort of not have 5 years of your life planned.
Right.
Like, okay, I'm just going to keep working hard. I'll get that
Including
promotion,
the
and then I'll
finances
do
to
that.
pay for that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I mean, we came here because of. We love it here now. We're staying here now because we like it, but we came here because we got beat up going into Charleston.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never done this before. Matt's sailed before. He owned the boat. I have never ever done this.
So, do tell what happened.
I've only sailed like on day sails on the Delaware River up by Bristol and.
Were you guys were offshore then, or coastal?
We came down the ICW exclusively the whole way, and then he said, "Do you want to go out?" And I'm like, "Well, I get really, really sick. Like not
okay.
just I feel nauseous. I'm down. I can't stand up straight.
Oh, wow.
My head spins. I can't think. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
how sick
yeah.
I get." And we'd been living on the boat for all this time, and I'm like, "All right, well, let's do it.
Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm not getting sick. This is great." So everybody, there was a guy, I can't remember his name now, I wish I could. This really nice person that we met on the Bob 423 Facebook page. He's like an ICW cruiser. He's an old guy.
Oh,
Him and
okay.
his wife go back and forth.
Oh, it's like
they
a
know every
plethora of
buoy if it's
wisdom.
like they know everything about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So they published this book, and it's a good resource.
And what's that called?
Bob 423.
Bob 423.
Yeah, the Bob. Everybody calls it the Bob tracks.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think
Fo-
I've heard
follow
that
the Bob
term
tracks,
before. Yeah.
So we did. Only actually we weren't getting them live. We were getting them from his book. His book is saying, "You're going to see this, but don't do it. Go this way."
Right.
To the point where you're like, "Really? I'm going to."
It's kind of like that green marker out there on the corner of this little
Yeah,
marsh.
yeah.
If you go anywhere near that, you're going to run aground.
Yeah. And just like us, where our boat is right now, every time low tide comes, I'm like, "Are we going to go sideways?" Like, I can't believe that we're not stuck in the muck
Yeah, I know.
where we are. It's so freaking cool.
Well, for a long time, years ago, they used to, like the boats, I think, would go and be tied up and throw it in forward and try
Yeah.
and sort of dredge it, so to speak,
yeah,
over there.
keep it
But
clear.
normally, yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
catamaran that's in that slip.
Yeah, it's so weird to wake up in the mornings because we are so far down below the building underneath the
Yeah,
dock.
yeah.
Like you're you're looking up and it's just all you see is pilings and oyster clusters and brown and
Yeah,
water
yeah, right.
dripping and-
At least you get you get a little shade in there,
crazy.
I suppose.
Yeah, it's
When it's hotter out, that'll come into play for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, hopefully we won't. I mean, I realize hot comes next week. But
Yeah, I know it does. We go from just like, wow, it's so cold,
Really
I can't wait till it
chilly.
warms up, to
Yeah.
just, dang, it's
Yeah.
hot. But okay, well, back to Charleston. So
Okay.
set us
All
up.
right, so anyway, we're heading. We decided. He said to me, you want to go? We said, all right. So we decided at the New River Inlet,
Yeah,
which is below Southport. right?
somewhere around there.
We checked the weather. There was this dude that we met on Bob's Facebook page, his vlog page, and he said, "Listen, I've checked the weather. I know this area. I grew up in the area. Trust me. Like I could ask him any question we wanted as we were going, and he would answer. It was great. It was a great resource.
Yeah.
And he said, everything's good. The weather's great. Seas are great. Go.
And was it just an overnight or
Just an overnight.
Just an
to
overnight.
go to Charleston.
We thought it was just an overnight.
Right. Well, it was interesting because one of the really cool things about it was right through the protected area where the right whales
Oh yeah, yeah.
come.
There's
So-
little sections there. Yeah.
So that was cool. It was cool. We were kind of hoping we'd see that.
Did
but
you see any?
No.
No.
No. I didn't see anything.
Shucks.
Yeah, I was sick. I was sick. So we had this great sunset. We knew that the weather was going to be great, and we go out and we watch. We're out there and the sun's going down. We're out for 2 hours, and then all of a sudden everything changed.
Yeah. In a moment's notice.
Yeah. We had wind behind us and from underneath us, and from it was. So the boat was wagging.
Yeah.
It was rolling. It
Right.
was bouncing. And 2 hours in, I was down for the count. It was a shame.
Oh,
So Matt
geez.
sailed all the way by himself overnight
Through
into
the night
Charleston.
into Charleston.
So I finally passed out, and I woke up in the morning to the sound of somebody hailing us, hailing the little blue sailboat.
Yeah. Was it
On my starboard side. This is
container
Captain
ship?
So-and-so. Is this guy in this massive container ship
Yeah.
coming up on us. He's like, you got to get out of the channel. We're like, no, we don't know the area. We're going to stay right in the channel. He's like, no, you got to get out. There's another ship coming at me.
Right.
I'm moving over. Get on the other side of the Ritz. He says, believe me, you have plenty
You
of
have
water.
plenty
in
of
that
water
little boat."
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we get in there, and we find an anchorage in Charleston, and we slept for an entire day.
Yeah. Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah, and we got up the next day, and we dinghied in, and we kind of walked around a little bit and had dinner and just hung out, and walked around the town. We found some great fruit hanging over somebody's garden in their house, and we got a bunch of oranges. It was,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was cool. I think they were the sour oranges,
Oh,
like the ones from Cuba that they put in
not like,
different marinades and stuff. Like
Oh.
sour orange, I think.
Huh.
I don't know.
not like clementines or anything like that.
not the cute little ones that are easy to peel. These were
Yeah.
just like little wild things. They were great. So finally, we're going to leave Charleston. We read about the fouled anchorages in Charleston.
Uh-huh.
We thought we were okay.
Wait, what exactly does that mean?
That there's anchors and anchor
Oh,
chains,
just a whole
and
bunch of
crap.
debris down
Yeah,
there,
a bunch
yeah.
of debris. So it turns out that it was fouled, and it was a blessing and a curse because we went through a storm there that might. My timeline is really off. We went through so many storms coming down. It took us 3 weeks to get out of the Chesapeake Bay.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, we got beat up so
Holy
bad. It was
smokes.
crazy. So, anyway, Matt's trying to pull up the anchor. It's stuck on something,
Yeah.
right? We've got current coming at us. We have a float right over the anchor. He made an anchor float, so
Smart.
we would know because this is all new to me, right? So I'm having to steer the boat and keeping the boat hovering over the
Yeah.
over the anchor because we're yanking so hard on the current, right?
Yeah.
He's pulling, can't get the anchor up. And finally he comes back to get things to cut wire. I'm like, runs back really quick, and he runs back up, and he's cutting, and I'm like, what the hell is going on, you know? And here he got held up on some wire, on some cable, and so it was hell to get out. We finally get out of there. We get it over to the marina, Safe Harbor Marina in Charleston, and we, you know, we're sitting there, and our bow's facing the current. So our starboard side's at the dock, you know, and we're filling up water and doing a pump out and getting fuel, and we're hanging, and Matt checks the oil like he always does every time we stop, and before we start, he checks, and there's nothing.
Oh, really?
Our motor doesn't burn any oil, but there's no oil, right? He puts in a quart, still no oil. We put in, this is stupid, we put in a bunch of, he's going to kill me for saying that. No, I mean, that's the story. That's why we got here. So we ended up putting in 4, and I'm like, why don't we turn it on? He turns it on, and of course, there's too much oil in there by 4 quarts because our motor does not burn oil. We knew that. Like, you know, but this was just the thing. We just came from the Anchorage, and we're all...
Yeah, you get sort of flustered.
Right, it's
and
crazy.
It's hard to make. Yeah, that's where a lot of, you know, mistakes do get made. Especially, too, if you're tired.
Yes.
You got all that stuff going on.
So
but...
we just had this thing, you know, 3 days ago.
The dipstick just wasn't showing
It wasn't showing. So anyway, it was. Then finally we're like, too much.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So then we got to figure out how to get it out without fouling the bilge and getting a bunch of, you know. So anyway, we get that. It's all taken care of. It's great.
Yeah.
You know, we're working on that, and there's a woman in front of us that is trying to get down to Florida, and she's going by herself. She's going 44 hours solo from Charleston down to Florida.
Yeah.
And so the current is coming at our bow, and she's docked bow to bow with us.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She gets ready to go. She's by herself. She pushes off, gets out, and the current won't let her steer out.
Get out of the way,
and
yeah.
She's heading
right at you.
So there was no major damage, but we were just like, we're like, how could this get any? Look, you know when you get to that point where you're just like, oh my god.
Well, it's that snowball effect.
Yes.
Excuse me. It's just one thing, next thing, and you end up so frazzled that anything you look at breaks.
It's like everything, yeah. So anyway, we get out of there. There's that weird little bridge when you go branch off of Charleston and you go up, I don't know, some creek. I don't even remember anymore. I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
So we found the next anchorage. It looked like this great anchorage. We pull up on it. There's a boat there on a mooring. We're like, oh, this boat's on a mooring. This is a great anchorage, right? This guy's permanently, this is great.
Yeah.
We go in there. We find a place. We're looking. We got plenty of water underneath us. It was beautiful. There's this weird train tracks going through the marshes. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, it was the strangest thing, but it was cool. We're like, this is awesome. We're sitting on the boat, and we're watching the sunset, and all of a sudden, Matt goes, the boat's not moving anymore. We look, and of course, we're...
Oh, ground.
It's like it seemed like as soon as we dropped our anchor, it just displaced all the water in the whole cove.
Oh, my gosh.
So we fired up, and remember the anchor float I told you about?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that line got tied up in our prop.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. So we move over to the next place. We got 5 feet under us. This is good. Oh my god, you know. And we go down. Same thing happens. We drop the anchor. It just displaced all the water in the whole cove. And we're on ground again. So
now, is it ground enough where it's just sitting there, or it's like tilted over?
It was starting to heel.
Oh, okay.
Well,
wow.
she's a full keel.
Yeah.
She's an Endeavor, so. You know, we just throw her into reverse or we do whatever, and she pushes herself off. She's amazing.
Right. And it's not going to damage it.
It doesn't damage the boat. We don't have to worry about our keel getting knocked off. So
these old boats, they're designed basically to be able to dry out. So that's how they used to paint the bottoms.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's a good boat. Anyway, we get out, and we finally were like, screw this. We went right outside the Reds, right in the channel. We dropped our anchor. We're like, we don't care.
Yeah,
if
right.
we're swinging, who has to go around us? We don't care.
Yeah.
So then we get up in the morning. It's great. We have our coffee, and then we have to dive the prop to get the line.
Right.
Yeah, so that takes us 3 hours.
Who did that?
We both did.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Good for you.
Well,
Team effort.
I mean, you have to, right? You can't just have one.
Not exactly, no. You could have been like, well, I'm going to make breakfast.
No. Well, we had a lot of reasons where we both were deciding. And this is always a conversation with us anyway, because we're older. Mm-hmm. So we have those conversations. Like, if it's me or you, like, what happens? You know,
Oh,
you have to.
Right,
You're
right,
older,
right? Yeah.
Right? which is kind of, that's a whole nother challenge to living this
sort of lifestyle.
of lifestyle. When we are now at our time in life, it's interesting.
You don't look very old.
I'm 57 and Matt is 60.
You guys are just children.
So, well,
your whole lives ahead of you.
You're right, and you say that until you hit that age because your brain is like, yes, we're gonna go do this,
and then your body's
and
kind
your
of
body's
like,
what are you,
slow down, Jack.
What are you nuts? Shut up, go to bed. You're drunk. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. So we decided, we'll put the water was cold. It was 55.
Yeah.
We're both small people. Like we knew we were going to get cold fast. We don't do this. We don't put our wetsuits on and jump in cold water. We're not used to this.
Yeah.
So anyway, Matt went in first. He came out cold. He went in with a carton blade, a box.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Box cutter. He went in and he went under. But you can't see.
No, you can only see about 6 inches in this water.
It's crazy.
If that.
Right. So he goes, it's not that far down. Our keel's only 4'2", so it's not that bad. But he goes down, and of course in the back it's not quite that far. And he manages to cut what he thinks is like a big knot. And he comes up and I'm like, all right, I'm going in. I get down there and I panicked. It was the weirdest thing. I was like, oh man, I knew he was right there, but I couldn't see him.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest feeling being under the boat. I could breathe. I can swim. I can snorkel. I'm fine.
Right.
But when you're under there, and it's cold as hell, and you can't see.
It's a spooky. I don't even like being underneath this boat here on the dock.
Right. And so it's these little things that you think are no big deal. Like, yeah, I'll go in the water and fix it. No problem. Until you're in there. And then you're like, whoa.
Start breathing like,
this is so weird, right? Yeah. So luckily I have like these weird toes where I can spread them out and pick things up. And Matt's like, he says, he's smart. He says, do you think you could feel the rope with your toes? I was like, oh yeah, maybe. So he's in the dinghy by this time, right? And I'm holding onto the dinghy and I'm like hugging my body down against the hull of the boat so I can feel it. And I could feel it. So we took our boat hook and a like a trim saw, like a DeWalt trim saw that I had, one of the ones that bend.
Oh,
that you can slide, for woodworking, doing.
Right.
And he took that and we taped it to the end of our hook, and he sat in the dinghy and like sawed at it. When he thought he felt metal, he's like, "No, this is good. No, that's good." And then, "Oh, this is not metal." And he'd go like that. Yeah, it was great. And then I'd go down and feel with my toes. Yeah, it's good. The prop shaft.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all clear.
Yeah, so on either side of the skeg, so I wrap my toe around it, and then I go on the other side. It was fucking stupid.
My gosh. What a
debacle.
Right?
You never know what skills you have.
Well, that's one of the things about being on a boat. Yeah, is it will challenge you.
Every stupid thing you know how to do becomes useful.
Exactly, and it's always eventful. I mean, that's probably something you would never forget for quite a long time.
Yeah. So we ended up, we finally get done, and then we can't go as far as we thought we were going to be able to go because we wasted 3 hours doing this. So
right.
Here.
And
we said, let's just stay here for a couple days.
Yeah.
And we'll go on a mooring over in Beaufort, and we'll just hang out, and then we'll get on our way. And, a week went by.
It has a bit of a magnetic
Christmas.
Draw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have often thought about, seeing about getting a slip over at the city marina and all that stuff, but
over there.
No, this place I'd like to be right next to downtown, but at the same time I like a little bit of distance.
It's a 10-minute walk over the bridge.
Oh, I know. I run it every day.
Yeah, don't go. Like, first of all, there's nowhere for you. There are so many liveaboards over there that they have all the spaces up close.
Right.
So they're going to put you out. And we were on this finger dock that one side was losing it was sinking, so the dock was always like this. It was really narrow. It was like, if it was 36 inches wide.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. It was slippy.
Well, and if the wind's blowing out of the south, does it rock and roll in there?
So when south means it's coming up the river.
Up the river,
Okay,
yeah.
So when the tide's coming in, it was at our stern, so the boat's wagging.
Right.
And then if the weather kicks up, it's coming at our side, so we're rocking.
Now you're rocking
and
that way.
lighting.
Yeah.
And it was.
That's for my money. That's one of the things that this marina provides better than almost any I've been in. Is that, I mean, maybe it gets a little bouncy if the wind's coming directly out of the west really hard.
But it's only one way.
Oh my gosh, I know.
If
Yeah,
the boat's only moving one way. That's no big deal.
it's so protected because
Yeah.
there's nothing worse than trying to sleep and you're listening to lines creaking and groaning and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know. Everybody's so close here that if Aaron's got a slapper on his mast, one of his halyards making a bunch of noise, I can hop right on his boat and fix it. Be like, give me that.
Dude, put your earplugs in or go fix it.
Some marinas, you get shot doing that. But
no, it's cool.
no, this place is nice. Well, that sounds like it was quite an adventure to get down here.
It was, but like Matt and I only met a few years ago.
Okay.
We haven't been together that long.
Yeah.
So his plan was to sail away on his boat, and my plan was to drive away in my camper. I was going to make a camper and make a little sewing studio inside, and I was going to follow music festivals and just
sew
hippie shit. Skirts
yeah.
and twirly things and cross-country cross-body bags that you could put your phone and your weed and all that kind of crap in, and that's
right.
I was just going to cruise around that way. Plus, from being in the service, I have a lot of friends in the country, and I was just going to drive up on people. Hey,
yeah, right,
can I park in your driveway? So we got talking, and a few sushi dinners later, we decided, hey, let's try and do this together.
Yeah.
So that it's safer. There's safety in numbers, and this will be great. Nobody wants to be by themselves, right? So since we had the boat, we decided to go on the boat, and it's been it's interesting. Every single I don't think you can prepare for this.
Not really. Not with any realistic scope of what it's actually going to be like.
Right.
There's just such a romantic notion that surrounds sailing.
Bullshit.
It is. I mean,
not.
there's some stuff, there are perks, but the realities of, life at sea. Whenever people I talk to that are like, "Oh, I want to get a boat. It sounds like it'd be so much fun."
Yeah, but it's not boring.
It's not boring, no, but it's there's a reason the majority of the human race lives in,
or why
houses.
they stopped being nomadic and decided to live the way they live.
It's
much
not
easier.
always comfortable. It's not always, you don't have that little house that you can retreat to.
Yeah. But it gets easier.
Oh, it does, definitely.
And it gets more interesting because, you feel like, things happen and you get a year under your belt, you get another year under your belt, and then 5 and 10 for these people that are experienced. But things still happen.
Yeah.
That you don't expect.
Yep.
Like, that when you least expect it kind of thing. And, if you keep a clear mind about it, that just makes it interesting. It's like, okay, I got this. How am I going to figure this out? I can just sit here and pray for the ferry to come in and fix it, but that's not gonna happen.
Can tackle this.
Because I have to.
Yeah, no, true.
So you find out what you're made of. I mean, if you're having any kind of an existential crisis in your life, the best thing to do is just sell all your shit and move into your car and just drive away and see if you can survive a week.
Go and experience some things. Yeah,
go see what you can see.
See what it's like outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
I used to always do that to my mom, try and get her out of her comfort zone. I made her go and we did scuba diving when I was living in the Caribbean, and she, at first she was comfortable doing the little training in the pool, and then we went in the ocean, and then we went straight onto, I think we did a night dive at a place called the Invisibles, and she was freaked out, but when she got out of there, she was so excited, and it's something she'd never forget ever. And
I think the goal is, when you're breathing your last breath, to not say something stupid like, "Oh, I wish I had done that thing." That's the goal.
Those are words to live by.
If you're presented with an opportunity, no matter how stupid it is, if you're not going to die, do it.
Yeah. Well, I think even a lot of people don't even at this point try and come up with these dreams of doing things or goals, big sort of all
I think they
encompassing
seem lofty
goals
because honestly, the goal of going to college,
The
finding a
traditional
partner that you
one,
get
yeah.
along with, buying the house, having the kids, that is near impossible at this point, right?
It's not easy.
It's challenging. And so if those things that you're taught to do, which are supposed to be what everybody does and are supposedly so easy, this is what you do, it's all laid out for you, here's the blueprint.
Right.
If that's hard, like the complete opposite of that is not even imaginable.
Yeah, like
right?
throwing out the blueprint and just
Right.
seeing what's going to happen. And
Like
what
make
can I
something
do.
up in your head. What's the weirdest thing you can think of? Now go do it.
Right, right. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, before I had this boat, I was working in the Caribbean, and there was this guy who he was working there for a small company, and then I think that sort of fizzled out, and he had the opportunity where somebody bought him a boat, like a 40-something foot boat, and he proceeded to just sort of live aboard on this boat in the Caribbean, and he'd go to different islands and this and that. And I just thought to myself, okay, obviously I would have to buy my own boat, but if this guy can
do
sustain his life on this boat, that's what I want to be doing.
Right?
And that was when I sort of, I had that plan. I was just like, all right, I got to work, save enough so that I can actually buy a boat and then just go for it.
Right.
And the rest is history. I mean, it's amazing.
It turns out that the most difficult things you have to do are really not even a thing. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it's just a decision.
Like you have to figure out what to do with all your free time. Like, how is that a bad thing? But it's actually challenging.
Oh, definitely. It
What am I gonna
drives
do
some
now?
people up the wall. They're like, I know people that they can't even have a job where they don't have like a boss that they have to at least report to their progress, because they'll just take advantage,
flail,
and they'll just be like,
They'll
I
watch
don't
reels
have
on
to do
Instagram
anything.
for hours on end.
Yeah, right. And I think to myself, I mean, I knew it was a bit of a challenge, but I've always had little projects and things like that to always sort of occupy a little bit of my time. But what I don't want is something that occupies all of my time that I don't really want to be doing.
Right. And that's that whole circle, the job that you hate so that you can buy the house that you can't stay in. Because
Unless you
gotta
have
go to
the
the
job.
that you hate in order to have the house. And then you got to drive to the job that you hate with the car that you have to pay for with the job that you hate. To work the job that you hate, to get in the car that you know what it like.
It's this crazy loop that so many, I think a lot of people are trapped in.
How did they manage to convince so many people that this is the way to live?
Well, it's obviously appealing. I mean, you get so many people. Yeah,
I'd like to take a poll.
For the majority of people. I mean, who knows though, really? There could be,
you see it on social media sites, your friends on Facebook and stuff, they're always bitching.
Well, yeah, but that's fake though. That's not real. When you go and actually talk to people, that's where you get the actual, information. I've only ever thought of social media as just complete entertainment.
Entertainment,
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that you're right. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just interesting. All the things that seem like non-things in supposedly the real world are just like are things for us.
What do you mean?
You have to think about it. You have to. It's an event. Like I'm going to go to work, and on the way, can you, hi honey, can you pick up, a steak and salad and some potatoes on the way home from work from the grocery store? Okay. Well, I mean, we can't do that.
No, yeah, exactly, right.
You can't just go to the grocery store.
Here it's like, okay, well, I've got to pump up the dinghy, and then I got to find a place to stash the dinghy so it doesn't get stolen.
Right.
Then I got to walk to the
thing. Or you have to pay for it.
Or you have to pay for it. Yeah, true.
That's a whole other topic.
Oh, what? All
water access?
The little charges? Ooh. Yeah. Although, it's kind of crazy down here because they seem to have a lot of like day docks where you can just pull up to, and they don't cost any money.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't use them, you can't just go live on it, but it's...
Yeah, we've noticed coming down south, starting with, I think, Elizabeth City at the base of the Dismal Swamp in North Carolina. They had day docks there, or free docks. No, actually, there were a few free docks in the Dismal Swamp, but you could get like one or two boats there.
Oh, really?
One was just at this concrete bulkhead after this tiny little bridge that the bridge tender had to drive to in their car. It was crazy. It was, I think, it might be 30 feet across at that point.
Uh-huh.
Have you been?
No,
Oh.
I've never been in the
Yeah.
intercoastal.
Oh, it's weird. You
Yeah.
have to go. It's an interesting experience.
It's difficult solo to constantly have to pay attention to all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I just always end up going offshore, and that's sort of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
If I end up going up with a buddy of mine, when I head up to Maine, then I don't know. We may end up doing some intercoastal.
Yeah.
Just
When are you going to Maine?
I typically leave. I look for my window at the end of May.
Oh.
So typically, most of the gales have the frequency is slowed down quite a bit.
Right.
So, last year we didn't get hit by anything, which was awesome. Every other time I've always gotten hit by
Yeah.
stuff, but
And they're getting worse. I mean, it was crazy.
some of them are. Yeah, I mean
Really.
it's pretty interesting to watch. I look at Windy, the forecasting
Yeah.
app on my
Yeah.
computer, and oh my gosh, it's just watching these things rip
Yeah.
off the coast is crazy. I've got a friend of mine that's, I think he's up in Oriental right now,
Yeah, it's
and he
beautiful.
just spent this last week when it was really windy for us. It was howling up there, and he's trying to make his way up to Maine, and he doesn't have a huge amount of experience, but he's moved
Ooh.
around on the boat quite a bit.
Those are big
Um,
waters.
Yeah, I
in the
know. What?
northeast of the United States. Right?
That was one of the things I was sort of
New
telling
York
him.
and-
Yeah, I was saying, there's a point where you can't be on the inside; you got to be on the outside.
You're on Cape
and
Cod, right? Don't you?
you can go through the Cape Cod
Oh,
Canal,
the Cape Cod Canal, right?
but just
Even
once
Atlantic City, those areas.
you
it's
still have to
crazy.
be out there,
Yeah.
and when shit hits the fan, it can get pretty
Yeah,
bad. I
yeah.
mean, it's no joke. And the other thing about Maine is that you get up there, and you've only got a small window before you have to get out of there before it gets too cold and the gales are just constant. So, you can't just plan like, oh, I'll get up there and then we'll see how it goes. I mean, that's one where you're like, all right,
This
I'm going
is
to make
the-
sure
this is
we're
the
getting
day we
out of
get
here.
in, and
Yeah.
we were thinking about going up to Maine possibly in the late summer after we get the school bus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And instead of going in the sailboat, we'll drive up, and then we'll just kayak out to those little islands. We're thinking like Penobscot area.
Penobscot Bay is absolutely gorgeous.
Are there a bunch of little islands that we could stay on land and then
Hundreds.
kayak to? Maybe take a tent and like.
Well, I'm not 100% familiar with like cruising around there, but
Yeah.
from what I understand from everybody else that does it, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's coves
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
You throw those little crab pots in and
Yeah.
always be yanking food up.
Yeah.
And there's lots of little towns and little harbors and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how much actual like dockage there is.
Well, we won't be going on the boat.
You'd
We'll
just
go
be going
in
up.
a schoolie
Oh,
and
okay,
then
okay.
kayak out into it.
Yeah, you want to give us a little rundown on the game plan here?
Well,
Because this is really interesting.
so Glitter is up for sale, and she's a really nice boat if you want to live aboard.
Yeah.
And she's very competent out there.
Yeah, is it online or where
It
can
is.
people
It's on
find out?
Craigslist.
It's on
It's on
Craigslist.
Craigslist in Hilton Head, Beaufort area, and also in the Keys. in the
Okay,
Florida Keys.
and it's just what under Glimmer or what?
Glitter.
Or Glitter.
No, it's under Endeavor. She's a 32 Endeavor.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, we're gonna either we're gonna sell her or we're gonna put her up on the hard, and we're buying a schoolie, and we're gonna build that out same way with solar panels and batteries.
Yeah,
and-
like a full size school bus.
oh yeah.
Holy cow!
Yeah, if we can get one we're looking for one of the handicapped ones that have it on the starboard side, the back on the starboard side.
Oh, okay.
So it's sideways. We don't want it in the back. So we're thinking, if we can have a lift that goes down and we could put a few motorbikes into it, either scooters or like just little
those
dirt,
little ruckus
dirt road
type
bikes.
things. Yeah.
that Honda ruckus that he has. up
that
there.
Aaron
That's
has.
cool.
Yeah.
Get a couple of them, and then we just put them on the lift and pull them up and make like a workshop in the back of the bus. And then
Oh, cool.
bedroom, and then we're gonna make some bunks for friends to come hang, and a sewing studio, and a chef's kitchen, because we love to cook. I love to cook.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. And
Yeah.
are you trying to? Do you already have the bus?
Nope.
Oh, not
We're
yet.
looking.
Okay.
We're just hoarding cash, waiting for the right one.
Wow.
We'll know it when we see it.
What sort of budget do you have to have, at least just for the initial
You can get a bus
purchase?
for $5,000.
Really?
Yeah.
That works?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, you You go to school districts, so you know they're maintained. You know their fleet.
Oh, true. I didn't even think
Yeah,
about that.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, what's the overall sort of game plan? Just hit the road and go
Yeah.
wherever.
We don't have
Wow.
one.
Such a free spirit.
It's really nice. We can just do whatever we want whenever we want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
There's got to be a few places that are on the hit list, though.
Well, we have to get domicile somewhere.
Oh,
because Pennsylvania, we can't do that. We have to have in order to have a license and.
You've got to be a resident of the state.
And we have to have like a brick and mortar address.
Can't you do that down in like Florida or something?
So Florida is a good place to do domicile. Texas is actually cheaper, so we're going to do Texas.
Oh, okay.
We're going to go to a place called Livingston, I think. There's a thing called Escapees RV Club. And you can go there and stay there, and you can get a mailbox and create domicile there. And, then you can get your license and get your vehicles registered, and it's all cheaper. And then from there, wherever. We'll go back up to Pennsylvania, I guess, and hang out. My daughter's an organic farmer, her and her husband.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, they have a CSA. Eli knows who they are.
How long have they been doing that?
A couple years now.
Really?
Yeah, so it's...
and that CSA, is that community...
Community-supported agriculture.
Right. So what does that exactly mean?
Well, you sign up for a share, and you basically get a bag or a box of veggies once a week of whatever's growing in the fields. Right.
And so you pay like a subscription basically for that.
You pay in the beginning of the year so the farmer can buy all the seeds and buy everything.
Oh.
And you pay for any labor if they need labor to help them.
Right.
Pay for their overhead.
Well, because, that's one of the things people don't realize, that farmers, they're basically gambling that they're going to have the right weather to be able to get a good yield. So
and
every
that's
year...
been part of the problem, like when the weather wipes them out and the government supports them, that becomes a whole different industry, and it kind of hurts the small farmers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they're not getting any of that money.
No. It's the big
farmers,
ones. Yeah. Well, and that monocropping is really,
it's really bad.
You get down a rabbit hole on that one.
Right.
Holy
I mean,
smokes.
like pretty much everything you eat from the grocery store, if you're buying veggies, barely has nutritional value anymore because our soil is shit.
Yeah. Yeah, going to farmers markets.
There's just so many. Yeah, so you support your local farmer.
I know. I'm going to go to the one downtown this Saturday.
Oh, yeah, the farmers market here is great.
I need some more cauliflower. I've been getting into making pizzas with that.
And there's the kid, he's like 16 or 17. He's always by himself with a small table, and he only has 2 or 3 things: broccoli, collards, and 2 weeks ago he had romaine. Oh, really? Yeah. And that's it. Like, he's helping it's his family that has the farm, and so. Oh, okay. And he brings it, And we were talking with him one day, and I said, so what do you really want to do? Do you want to, farm with your family? He's like, yeah, it's great. He said, but I'd really like to be a skateboard pro. We're like, dude, don't do that. Because the farms will always be there, Go do the skateboard thing, and then
hopefully it'll always be there. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So, my daughter. Can I plug her? Heck yeah! Are you kidding me? I have no sponsors.
Oh, good.
I have 2 patrons who help support the thing. CSA.
And they're out of, I guess, Langhorne, Pennsylvania. They're at Playwicki Park now.
Okay.
It's a municipal park in, I guess it's Langhorne. I'm not quite sure. I think it is.
So get on out there and support them.
Love grows.
They're doing good things.
Yeah. This year they're doing I think they're doing a share for seedlings. Like, you can buy your seedlings from them instead of going to Home Depot or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
How did they acquire the land?
They didn't, and that's okay. So that's a whole nother topic. I'm not even going to speak on that because I know I'll get things wrong.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
My daughter and Brad Ailsa and Brad. They're very land ownership in Pennsylvania, and specifically in the county we're in Bucks County. It's a very affluent, wealthy county. Yeah, and land is unattainable for small farmers, unless it's a family thing or.
Unless somebody wants to do it as like a project. Or you mortgage your
entire life if you happen to have the money to put down for a down payment.
Right.
It's unattainable. And they're committed to trying, because they're both born and raised in Bucks County, and they're committed to making, to stay there in their community and feed their community, because that's what it's about, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I think pandemic should have made it quite clear to everybody that, that food security, all our securities are gone in a second.
Oh, yeah.
In a
As soon
day.
as those ships stop, everything changes.
And nobody does gardens anymore. Nobody knows how to put up food. Nobody, people eat food out of boxes that they just have to heat up. Like, they don't even know how to cook anymore,
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's those pros and cons of a society and how far.
Well, and
you wanna
I
get
think
outside.
too, when you have more institutions like these CSAs and stuff like that, that also helps sort
Absolutely.
of bring a community
Educates
together.
people,
It makes people have and form
Yeah.
these relationships.
and you get really good food.
Dare I say, it makes us less divided.
I hope so.
Which is a pretty
you're
hot
right.
topic.
Well, you're right, because if you want to, let's say we all just go back 5, 6, 7, 8, 15, 20 years ago, and we just want to talk to people and find out what they're into and who they're, and don't ask those questions. Don't bring the politics into it.
Yeah.
Then you can go back to a point at which you find common ground with people.
Well, and I still remember being able to just have conversations about politics and, sort of sharing ideas and being like, oh, yeah, I want to, that's good. Instead of just, again, what you see, mostly on the internet, because it's rare. I mean, I've seen a couple of people get in pretty heated discussions and stomp away in different directions when they get into politics, but that's rare. But when you look on the internet, I mean, it's constant, because it's people trying to show you that.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's a weird comparison, but this past week I hired a girl. I contracted with a girl to do a personal trainer.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm losing my strength. I'm losing my balance, and that's an age thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you work full time, and I've always had manual jobs, I've always kept myself in really good shape and strong. And I'm noticing that, being on the boat, I'm losing my balance. Like, sometimes I fall in the companionway. Thank God I don't live on this boat. I'm dead.
I got a pretty steep companionway.
Well, you have all those steps. We only have 2.
Right,
so if
right.
you fall, at least your leg can stretch out and hit the floor.
I'll put pillows down next time you come over.
So I've fallen into the boat twice on this trip already.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And so I forgot what. See, I did it again. I'm sorry. I do this all the time.
No,
I usually can get
it's totally
back
fine.
to where I was. The comparison of hiring the personal trainer. I don't remember where I was going with that. Do you? No. See?
No.
Yeah.
That's all right, though.
That's
No,
all
it's
right.
all good.
So anyway, this maybe I'll think of it if not. But this girl's a great girl, and she's getting me into shape so that I can be stronger on the boat.
Okay, what sort of stuff are you doing?
Oh, she's got me just doing glutes and hamstrings
Oh, okay.
for the past couple days.
So that's all stuff you can just do on the boat.
That was the goal, was to ask her to work out some plans with me so that I could do it on the boat.
Right,
Or
right.
in any other small space, like our schoolie.
It's definitely important. I mean, in the Caribbean, I would see it all the time in Anchorages. Every morning there'd be couples that are up doing all sorts of little cardio
Active,
stuff up on the
stretching,
bow. Yeah,
cardio.
I do some stuff down here, but I mean, for me, I just want to run. I love running. I like paddleboarding as well.
You
Those
were
are
out yesterday? Were you out paddleboarding yesterday?
yeah, a little bit. I try and go every day, do about 2.5 miles.
Really?
In both, yeah.
Wow.
It goes, just around the marsh here,
Yeah.
but
That's cool.
it all depends. Sometimes it's nice to have other people with me.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's nice to do it by myself, because then you sort of just focus on it. And I think you work out a little harder when it's just you.
Yeah, because you can do what you want. You don't have to worry about anybody keeping up with you.
Right,
That's always a
exactly.
challenge, yeah.
But it is, that is one thing I will say about boats is they have a tendency to make you sit a lot.
Yeah.
And not constantly be moving around because you're in such an enclosed space. I mean, there's plenty of times where, especially when it was cold this winter, where I'd be down here kind of going from sitting there to laying in my bunk to sitting over there.
Yeah.
Maybe stand up to make a sandwich.
Yeah. It gets interesting.
So what if anybody were to ask you sort of how, or maybe how can I do what you're doing? What would you tell them? What would be your
Oh man.
your golden ticket of advice?
Wow. So I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. My first bit of advice would be to get a notebook, a literal notebook, and start writing down what you think the pros and cons are to living in a small space.
Like a boat or a van
Anywhere.
or a bus.
Right.
Yeah.
And then immediately cut your expenses. So take away those things, the lattes, the clothes, all those things you're used to doing, the extra cable, the extra channels, all the stuff that you have if you have an apartment.
Right.
Stop buying all that stuff. Get rid of all those subscriptions, the magazines, everything.
Yeah.
And then you have to physically go do that, right? Physically get rid of the clothes, the shoes, the magazines, the devices.
Yeah, empty out or the closets
Right.
and all that.
And get to a point where you feel like you're safe financially. Where if you had to go and schlep beer or eggs, would you be able to afford the stuff you still have?
Right.
Right. And at that point, I mean, there's just so much. I think the main thing is what it does to your mind out here. Like, once you leave, you are immediately, once you put the key in the ignition or you set sail, once you leave, you are literally not the same person.
Oh yeah, there's a whole feeling.
And you have to be prepared for.
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
It can be, but it's also it's exciting.
It's exhilarating.
Yeah, that's the best word. Exhilarating.
Yeah, because this gets me a little emotional when I think about it. But this is that thing that everybody wants to know about themselves. Who am I? Why am I here?
Yeah. What can like?
So if you want to figure that out, just go out and do something crazy and figure out what you're capable of.
You are getting emotional.
No,
yeah.
Right? Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
Like, who are you? Like what things can you withstand emotionally, physically? Emergencies, like what happens if you're sailing with a partner? What happens if something happens to that person?
Yeah.
Have you thought about that?
There's a lot. That's kind of scary to think about.
I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer about it, but
No.
like it's so fascinating that you are literally not the same person when you leave.
No, it's true.
And that you have to. My biggest struggle is sometimes you have to be silent. Like go out there, turn the key, take off, and shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Just listen and watch.
And just immerse
Learn how to
yourself in the
assimilate.
experience.
Well, immerse and assimilate. I think we have so many problems with people not understanding other people because they just don't. Most of us can't say to somebody, "I understand how you feel."
Oh, and
because you
actually
don't.
mean it. Yeah.
Unless you've actually encountered that, or you are that person, or you've had the exact set of circumstances, which never happens.
Right.
You can't understand at all, ever, what anybody's been through.
No. Oh, that's for sure. Well, and whenever people give somebody a hard time, or they're like, "Oh,
Right.
I don't know what's wrong with that person."
Honestly, that's
You
my
gotta
biggest
remember.
struggle. I have
Yeah.
so many set ideas in my head about the way things are.
Right.
That's the thing I struggle with the most.
Well,
It's
and
like
that
I see
you
things and I
never
immediately
know.
say are like, "Oh, this must be this," and then I find out that it's completely not that,
Yep.
and I should have just shut the hell up. And
Well, I think my
Yeah.
biggest thing was just knowing that some people are going through things that you
Everybody's
have
going through
no
things.
idea
You
about. Yeah.
can't-
And I think that's one of the really sort of bad things that come out of stuff like social media
Yeah.
is, you've got these people and it looks like, wow, everything is absolutely best, but in reality,
Yeah, but there's a lot of room out there for being authentic, to use a catch word.
there definitely could be,
If
yeah.
you decided to go out there and say, all right, this is what it is, and this is how I'm feeling about it, and this is, and you talk to people about it, you're going to have a shit ton of people that you don't know that are going to offer up their opinions and their experiences, and just like talking to friends or talking to counselors we need to keep talking to each other.
yeah. But
Because you never know.
it's strange though. I gotta tell you. I mean, when
the
I
bad
look
part is
at
terrible. I agree.
when I look at people's comments on some of the videos and stuff that I do. Some of these just strings where just one person will say something that's kind of normal, and then somebody will dig right into them.
Right.
And that starts this snowball effect, and you're just thinking to yourself,
why?
These two people are arguing
to
over, and this is a video of me sailing? Like, what's the...
Well, it's kind of interesting, because it's kind of sad in a way when you think about it, because they got nobody else to pick on but you as a stranger.
Well, no, they're not picking
really
on...
give a shit.
They're picking on each other.
Well, yeah.
I'm like the innocent bystander
Yeah.
and all this. I don't know. It's one of those things, like, I like what social media can do. I like how it can connect people.
I love living this lifestyle and having this tool available.
Yeah,
to us.
exactly.
It's really cool.
Yeah, do you post anything?
We used to. I'm that person that just, I have like 800 million ideas.
Right. You got to get that notebook out.
I do. It's ridiculous. Like when we left, I actually left some on my notebooks because I'm like, oh, stop.
Yeah, right.
I exhaust myself.
You clean out the notebook a little.
I can't take it. Stop thinking of these things. They're never going to happen, you know? I just have these like, I'm going to design this and we're going to do that. And wouldn't this be cool? And what if we could get all these people together and we make this? Like I had this whole notebook idea of, and it's been a tiny living thing for probably 20 years. Like I've always thought, like the commune that everybody makes fun of. I'm thinking that's ridiculous, right? But in a modern day, you have LLCs, you have people that are used to working from home, you have people that are used to working. People your age, you're used to doing gigs because to get a job, retire, get a pension doesn't exist anymore, right? So you're used to this. You're used to hustling for things. And I always thought, wouldn't it be cool if you just like got a bunch of property and you develop this like web of LLCs where people could just kind of, like if you're a sole proprietor, you always get dinged on your taxes worse than if you're a multi-member LLC, right?
Right.
So, and the nice thing with those is that you can make up the rules, right? So let's say the guy next to you, he's your buddy, and you put him on as a member, but he has absolutely no rights to the money, to the anything, which is allowed.
Yeah.
You decide what his role is within the company, right?
Oh, so you like make a compound. So you get the
advantages of having multi-member LLCs, but the person can't take anything from you as long as you set it up properly, you set the rules out properly.
Right,
and then you have a web of these people. So you have a farmer that wants to farm the land, which is now you can train people. So you get multiple income streams based on a lot of people, right? So you can farm the land and you're getting food from them. They're also making money because they're farming and selling, right? You can also do like a permaculture thing where you do internships where people can come in and learn how to live off grid. And so, they pay $1,000 for a week and you have a bunkhouse and they come in, and then you have a woodworking shop. And so now the woodworker can make his own money or her own money, but they can also support the community. If shit needs to be built, you can use the shop, or you can help with labor, or you can teach people, or and then you have these things where you can start to work with people that are like maybe people that have been in prison before, give them a place to come and live, and they can be, our prisons don't rehabilitate people. They just throw them away and tell them that they're pieces of shit for the rest of their lives. You know what I mean? But you can have people come to this farm and you can learn how to woodwork. Maybe you can learn how to butcher. Maybe you can learn how to be a leather worker. You could work in the office. You could do, Airbnb. You could learn, have little things, little huts on the property that you can Airbnb. And so there's all these opportunities for people to live together, work together, contribute, and you all benefit. And I know that sounds, everybody tells me that's La La Land. Okay, Dean, you're living in La La Land, whatever. To me, it seems...
You find the right people, you find the right place.
Right. And you don't even have to know, I think the hardest part is, holding people to their word, or having the contracts, or people change. Maybe they think it's great, and they buy in, and something happens, and they can't do it anymore.
Right.
So you have to think of everything. How do people buy out?
Yeah.
What are you willing to offer? If they,
yeah, because
Matt always says you always have an exit plan. Make sure you have.
Got to be able to pay for the property and the infrastructure, basically.
People are having kids, so you have a daycare on board. You have people that can, you make a legit daycare, and you homeschool these people, and
that's true.
You know what I mean? But you make sure that you're not some like weird cult thing where you just keep people on the property and you know
Yeah,
what I
as soon
mean?
as
Like,
one guy starts wearing his
Yeah.
Ray-Ban sunglasses during
Right,
the day,
right,
it's
right.
usually
too much cocaine, and now we're in trouble.
Oh man,
Right.
yeah.
You
No,
know.
I've thought about that too. I mean, in the summertime, I typically, if I go to Michigan for like a month or more, I go and like camp. I have a couple big tents that
Right.
are. I would say that my camp, because I have 2 tents, I have more room there than I do on this boat.
Right.
And I
Yeah,
have
we
a
do.
couple solar panels just
Yeah.
so I have electricity, but it's very basic. My entertainment is music or the bonfire,
Right.
and I love it.
Right,
I absolutely
right,
love it.
right.
Just I've always thought though it'd be so cool to be able to have like 10 tents and then be able to have all sorts of people
Yeah,
there
yeah.
and enjoy all that time. I don't think I could do it, year round or anything, but
So I have another thing that I've been thinking about. Can we take a break?
sure.
I have to pee so bad.
Oh yeah, no worries.
I'm
no
an old
worries.
lady. You can keep it rolling if you want. If you want to
No
talk about
worries.
something
No.
else.
I'll
Is
just
it
pause
Am
it
I
right
allowed to
here.
go?
And we are back after
Yeah.
a short
Yay.
break. So let me present you first with the book.
Thank you. I
There
can't
you
wait
go.
to read
Thank
it.
you for the presents. They were
I
really.
hope you get good use out of them.
I'm sure I will.
We
No.
have. So I sew on board. Matt made me a shelf that comes out about 12 inches off of. It's the table that was there that folded up and bolted against the wall of the head. On the
Oh,
outside,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So he built a shelf that comes out about 12 inches. That's about, I guess, I don't know, maybe 24 inches wide, where
Yeah.
as wide as the table would have been.
Oh, okay.
And then we cut the table down and reinstalled the piano hinge so that the table can come down from the shelves. But when it closes up all the shelves. So when we're underway, all the stuff stays there. It doesn't
Oh,
fall out.
right. Yeah.
So that's my sewing studio. I have a sewing machine in there. I have fabric in there. We have 2 sewing machines on board.
Oh, nice.
And
I've got the old Sailrite.
yeah, we have our Sailrite. Yep. And so we call the business So Out of Here. We're so out of here. SWOUTTA.
I like
Yeah,
it.
We're so out of here. And we make stuff. I make stuff. It's an impulse. Matt's happy to just sit and contemplate life, and I'm just like,
Yeah, I've got to do something. Gotta. Yeah.
do
Well, that's a good trait to have on a boat because there's always a million things that need to be done.
yeah, but I don't want to do any of those things.
I just want to do what I want to do.
I want to crochet and make jewelry and and sew and yeah. So anyway, he entertains me. It's kind of funny, and he built me this sewing studio on there, and it works great. So we make stuff like that.
That's very cool. Very cool. I'm
and
going to
I-
have to find a good spot for it.
I get fabric from thrift stores, or if they're projects that I'm working on, I keep everything and I just use it down till it's nothing. Like,
Yeah.
And once it finally gets down to bits, then it becomes stuffing.
Oh, right. For another project,
things.
right.
Yeah, and then that way you don't have to throw any.
Well,
valves
how
and
much
things.
of like your biminis and
We did all that.
covers, you did all of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We so when I started sailing with Matt and being on the boat more with him, I couldn't figure out what purpose a Dodger serves. I mean, I understand what purpose a Dodger serves, but
Right.
it's so small, and you can't when you're in the cockpit and you're sometimes especially the way our boat was built, you could barely see through. Like the glass, the clear was all faded and
Yeah, frosted.
yeah, and so you either had to like look up on either side and look above it, and it was a pain in the ass, and you didn't have any, you get out there and you're sailing and you're soaked
Yeah,
because he had a bimini, but
but
it was
no
just
Dodger.
the bimini.
Right.
Yeah, and he had the Dodger, but they're not together. So anyway, we were watching the typical YouTube sailing channels, and one of them has a hard top on their boat that they built themselves. So we started thinking about, on this voyage, why don't we take off the bimini or take off the Dodger and make a hard top?
Yeah.
So we debated for weeks how we're going to do it. We're drawing it out, and we're like arguing, no, it should be this way. No, it should be this way.
3/4 ply.
We're both
No.
it's got to be quarter
Starboard.
inch and 3 layers so that we can bend it, and we can laminate it and clamp it. Oh my God, the whole thing.
Hence why I'm a solo sailor.
Right.
What do I want to do? Okay.
So one of our friends, sat there, Tony, he sat there watching us. And one day he says to me, "Why don't you just make another bimini and just bend the frame and sew another thing and be done with it?" And I was like,
Genius.
so we did.
Yep.
And it's kind of cool. So now we have like 7 feet wide by like 14 feet. We have like a
Oh,
lanai.
you've got really.
It's a lot of room.
I know. I mean, when obviously I have this big rain or the sunshade,
I love
but obviously I've only used that out at sea once or
Oh,
twice.
you can't when you're running. No, you can't.
No,
But this we had it up. We had it in the Chesapeake. We got
yeah.
And
I've got a tiny one that unrolls to get to the Dodger, but I needed to make sure that when it got really bad, everything could be taken down.
Yeah.
And that includes even the solar panels. They're with 3 screws, I can take those off completely.
Wow.
But that's literally, hurricanes
you're
coming.
sailing hardcore.
Yeah, so.
If a hurricane's coming, we're like in a hidey hole somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Wait, we think there's weather 100 miles away. That's okay. We'll just stay here. We're not trying to go out there and take awesome pictures and tell everybody we're amazing sailors. We're just out.
That's not what it's about.
Right, we're just,
no, it's about the actual just adventure of doing it and seeing new places
we're
and
just going
testing
to see
yourself.
what we can see, and the sailboat just happens to be the vehicle at the time.
There you go.
So,
until it
it's
turns into
schoolie.
the schoolie.
Well, it was going to be a U-Haul because those are pretty cheap too. They're like $5,000.
Oh, okay,
if you could cut through the cab and the box.
Right, you can put like windows, you can do whatever you
and
want.
then they have that mom's attic thing, so that could be your bed. So you like put some plywood up there and bring it out a little further, and then underneath there could be like closets or your little kitchen, or your toilet with your compost toilet in there.
Right.
You know what I mean? That'd be plenty of room. I mean, it'd be small.
Oh yeah, but
it's the same size as those van lifer people with the those,
with their just like sort of regular utility vans.
Yeah,
and
what are
stuff.
they called?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Well,
so, we're going to do that. And then, like I said, we're just going to go around. And I think now that things are opening up again, we're going to start doing that thing where we're going to go to music festivals. And then we're going to go hit coasts like here. A lot of people aren't going to do that. Now, like, it's really been helpful to us to see the coastlines of all these and these little tiny towns that you wouldn't go to.
They're not right off the interstate.
Right. I mean, they're interesting if you're a sailor, but they're not really interesting if you're...
Yeah, if you're landlocked, it's sort of like...
Yeah. So...
Look at all those boats out there.
We like those ports and stuff, so we'll keep hanging out and going to those places and checking them out.
Yeah.
But then we're going to go hike and we're going to, do whatever. I don't know.
That's so cool.
Whatever.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So, like, I thought it would be neat, like, if we don't sell the boat, or maybe a couple of years down the road, if we have another boat, that Matt can just go to the Bahamas, go sail, get some crew. Everybody wants to go to the islands, he'll be able to get crew easy.
Yeah.
And then I'll either fly there or I'll just do something else in the schoolie for a couple months, I figure I'll get a bunch of old lady girlfriends and
have
all
some
my friends from when we were little,
little Thelma and Louise action.
The ladies I've collected along the way, and we'll just go out and see if we can, just make sure we don't get arrested and do nice things or stupid. I don't know. I mean.
Yeah, it's all up in the air.
And you always have to think about making money, so there's always that in the back of your head. Like,
yeah, it sounds like you're pretty industrious when it comes to that. I
thought it'd be cool to do like retreats, so I have a lot of really talented friends. So, hey, why don't you come? And then we can offer a retreat with whatever your specialty is. If you're a yogi or you're an artist or you're, whatever. And then, you have 2 or 3 people extra that would come on board that would be able to sleep in. And I thought, you offer them tents so they don't have to sleep with you on top,
Yeah.
It's crowded.
Right.
And then, I don't know, there's just so many ways. I mean, you had asked me before, like, what are the things if I'm going to tell somebody, list your strengths and weaknesses also in that notebook, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And don't list them as if they're money-making endeavors. Just list your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Right? Because some of them are going to help you make money, and others you need to know what your weaknesses are. You need to, like, this is that time when we were saying, you're a completely different person. You got to look in the mirror, and if you can stare yourself in the eyes and say, okay.
Right. And be 100% honest with yourself.
I know who you are.
Yeah.
And I know what we're dealing with, and this is what we have. And this is, because those, I think it's just natural for those challenges in life to hit you up based on your biggest weakness. It's like, okay, now you're going to learn this lesson.
Yeah,
Whether you
right.
like it or not. Here you go. What are you going to do now? You know, and you just sit there and you're like, okay. Because you can insulate yourself from that.
Oh, you can easily do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can sort of get a job that you can put up with
Yep.
and pay rent and
Yep.
sort of dance around a lot of
Yep.
the real challenges of life. But I don't know. I find those challenges to be the most rewarding experiences.
Yeah.
People always ask me, why did I go around the world? Why did I,
Why
you
not?
know, risk all that, spend all that money? It's because it's an experience of a lifetime.
And humans have been doing this forever. I mean, think how long people took a boat, put fabric on there, and like started. Can you imagine that first point at which you like sail away from land and then you can no longer
And
see
no
it? What are
longer
they,
see
nuts?
it. I know. I couldn't even imagine. And that's
they
one of my
did.
favorite things to do, but
Right.
only because I
You
know
have all
where
this
I am.
instrumentation. Yeah.
Exactly.
Can you imagine doing that? Not knowing, like all of a sudden, hey, we can't see land anymore. It's okay. We're gonna keep going.
Yeah, right.
It's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
It's definitely crazy.
Yeah.
But
It's wonderful. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that's the best part about it is that everybody acts so scared. But like, honestly, what's the worst that can happen to you?
well, you sink and you die, but like
Well,
you
no,
know
if
what?
you're
You know.
sailing, but I mean, if you just decide to go off and do something nuts, I'm going to go live in a school bus, or I'm going to get in my car, and you know, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, yes, you can have a freak accident.
Well,
obviously.
sure, that can happen anywhere,
But
anytime.
honestly, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
You run out of money and you hate it, so then you go home
Yep.
and you get an apartment, you get the stupid job again, you do it all over again where you're comfortable.
But at least you've then taken on the challenge.
Right.
You've gone out and
Right.
seen what it is, and now at least you can put to bed the fact that you, for a little while, wanted to do it, and you never
Yeah.
have to say to yourself,
Yeah.
"Man, I wish I would have at least
Yeah.
tried."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I did it when I was younger. I joined the military and I took off.
yeah. So what was going on with that?
Well, I lived in Levittown in suburban, you know, first suburbia, right? It was
Where is that?
Levittown, Pennsylvania. It was
Oh,
the
okay.
very first suburb in our country.
Oh, right.
Right. So I went to a really great school district, but most of my friends were college bound, you know, and it was like, yeah, it's great. We used to skip school and get high and we wouldn't go. And, you know, we'd go over to Jersey and buy bottles of Boone's Farm and go to the parks and just kind of
Boone's Farm. I remember that stuff.
And, you know, and then we all graduated and it got to be like August and all my friends left for college and I was like, now what do I do?
Yeah. What do I do now?
Yeah, so I had a job in a shitty bar, schlepping beer. And then I had a job at a kiosk selling like yogurt covered raisins and that kind of thing at the mall. You know, it was stupid. And one day I was going to that job and I passed an Air Force recruiter, so I just walked in and they scheduled me to take a test and, you know, and I took the test and they're like, oh, cool, take this test. And so they said, pick what job you want based on the test I took. So I picked interpreter because I went to the UN one time when I was a kid and I thought it would be neat to be an interpreter and I didn't know. Who knows what they want to be?
Right.
How am I-
Oh,
you
yeah.
just put me on the spot. What do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. Get out of Levittown? Is
Yeah,
that a job? Yeah, so I went in as an interpreter and then ended up as a med tech and got to go live in Europe for a while and that changed everything.
Oh, I'll bet. Just seeing a little bit of the big wide world changes a lot of people.
Everything.
Yeah. Wow.
Changed everything. Like I would not be. I would be a different version of the person I am
Right.
now. You know, because I mean, I met people there that had ideas and read books and looked completely like nobody had ever met before.
Yeah.
It was completely different. You know, I'm immersed in a world where they speak a completely and German to boot, not even like Spanish. Something that
Yeah.
you could figure out, right?
Right. You can sort of get by with that, but with German, yeah, I
it's
can only
crazy.
imagine.
It was great. It was awesome.
Well, I think that goes without saying. I mean, you know, when you throw yourself out there,
Yeah.
it's really gonna.
Yeah.
I always said it's the stuff that actually sort of builds character in a person. Is when you're willing to just take a chance, figure out what you want to try and do, and
Right.
just do it.
Right.
Just get out there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much more I want to do.
It's never too late.
And
that's for
and
sure.
I've kept a list for a long time, and the list is based on what I'm physically able to do at any point in my life. So I have like my really old lady list,
Oh, nice. Wow,
So-
you're really
Right. So when I'm not
preemptive.
well, because I want to learn. I want to play the piano again. I want to learn languages again. I want to do, but I'm not gonna like sit and play the piano when I could be out learning how to free dive, or
Right,
'cause I
right.
can't free dive when I'm 90, but
True.
I can do that now.
No, that's interesting. It's making me think that, it's been a long time since I've actually written a list out like that. I mean, I still remember a couple of years ago coming back to my parents' house and finding an envelope that had a letter that I wrote to myself when I was 30.
Really?
And it talked about, basically, it said, you better have already hiked the Appalachian Trail, and you better, if you haven't sailed around the world, you better still be working towards that goal.
Yeah, or at least got out there a little bit.
Yeah, and I had already done both of them, so I was sort of like, oh, that's so cool.
That's only 2 things on the list, man. There's
Yeah,
so many things to
but
do.
just the sail took 5 years
I
of
can't even-
preparation
yeah, that's pretty-
and all that sort of stuff.
I
But
really-
yeah, no,
That's
I
admirable.
do. I need to go. I need to go back onto the list and
yeah,
see.
Yeah.
When I was younger, all I wanted to do was work in the Caribbean, and I did that for
There you
10
go.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Like we last year we were down in Key Largo and we worked at a sailing club there, the Key Lime Sailing Club.
shout out Key Lime.
Yeah, they're a great place. So he's got a bunch of old fishing cottages on the property. And
Oh, neat.
If you know how to sail, or you take classes there because they have a sailing school there on site, with your room rate, you also get a 22-foot Catalina for your use at your
Oh,
disposal.
wow.
And not just anyone. Like it's not like, oh, you have to sign up and there's only 4 of them, and if you sign up early, and like each room
Has
has
one.
their own boat. So everybody who goes there, basically everybody who goes there sails.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. It's just this wonderful little place that by the time you get down to the bay, you can no longer hear the traffic at Route 1.
Right,
it's
right.
just really quiet. And,
Oh, that's neat.
and we were there during when when the pandemic started. So mid-March, they shut the islands down, and you couldn't go there unless you lived or worked there. So you got 100 miles of Florida Keys with just the residents and no
Yeah, all to
tourists.
yourself.
It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, so he
That's
couldn't
cool.
have guests, so we ripped up carpets and laid floors, and we replaced windows and doors and painted and built.
Take advantage of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, because before you can't. I mean, he was busy all the time. Such a great place.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah,
Wow.
and it's like
I'll have to
he's
look
got
into that place.
Yeah, well, you know what? He always hires travelers. Like that's his thing. Like if you want an introduction to the Keys to see if you want to live there or you can live there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, he's a good first stop because he'll pay you if you go and you work and you're not an asshole and you don't be a jerk.
Steal stuff.
Yeah, you're good.
Freebase,
you're good to his,
drugs.
Right, you're good to his guests. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Pays you every week. Every week, you never have to worry. He gets paid.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a nice gig. And it's only 2 hours to Key West, which is good because you don't want to spend too much time there.
Right.
You can get too drunk and spend a lot of money in Key West.
That's what happens in the Caribbean too. If you
So-
can, when I got dropped out, the first time I got down there was on a yacht delivery, and this other guy who was on the crew who had been down there quite a bit, and I was staying to work on the boat. He said, "Listen,
Keys
if you can
disease.
stay sober until noon, you're gonna make money down
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But most people can't."
Right.
And I was like, "Okay." And I understand what he said after
Yeah.
living there for so long.
It's amazing. And
It's
so,
pretty easy.
yeah. And if you don't mind living, I mean, there's people that live off in the mangroves. They just have these sailboats that they basically sleep on, but they hang out on islands with other people and they have tents out there and they've got picnic tables and
Right? Yeah.
everybody just hangs out on these islands
these
and then they
little
go into their
communities.
jobs as service people somewhere, right? They're either working on fishing boats or they're working in a restaurant
Yeah.
or in housekeeping, And then so you see them kayak in or dinghy in, and then there's always bikes chained to fences and they're on their
Right.
bikes and they go to work. It's pretty neat. It's
Simple
really,
living. I'm
really
telling you,
amazing.
it's not bad.
and like if there's people doing that here in the United States, I can't even imagine what it's like in the rest of the world. Because you don't, once you start living on the fringe, then you start noticing other people and you start noticing things that. But for the most part, people that live on the fringe they're basically invisible.
They go unnoticed. Yeah. I mean,
So you can go to the grocery store and stuff, and you just go in and you get your groceries, and nobody knows the way you live.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could be standing behind somebody that lives in the woods right across the street.
Yeah,
and
but
has
each
like
other,
a tree fort.
each other, you notice each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
go to a store and you're like, oh, yeah.
Like, oh, hey, that guy looks like he's on a boat. Yeah.
You can
And
tell by their backpacks.
wearing,
You can tell by the type of shoes they wear.
he's wearing gill boots.
Right.
In
How
the
many
summertime.
layers of clothing they have on? Because you
Yeah,
can't have
right.
winter and summer clothes. You just have to like layer everything.
Exactly. Yep. That's the way to do it.
Oh, they got 4 layers of leggings on. Yeah, they're living on a boat.
All right. Well, we are getting deep into
been
the
a while.
time. Yeah. Yeah. This has been an absolute pleasure, though.
It's been a lot of fun.
I can't thank you enough
Oh,
for
we'll have to
coming
talk
on.
again.
Is there anything else you want to plug, or do you want to just remind people about?
Wait. I had.
Get the notes out. Very responsible.
Yeah. So, I don't really know this person, but out of the 2 boats that we saw when we were coming down the Delaware to the Chesapeake to the C&D Canal,
Yeah.
there was a guy that from across the river. I knew his boat. I had seen it before. He's got a hashtag on the side of it, and I'm like, he's floaty boat.
Floaty boat.
Hashtag floaty boat. And he's from Riverside, New Jersey, and like we were cruising along. That was the first person that we kind of met.
Oh,
out
really?
There, yeah. You know, we met a lot of people on the way, and one of those is where did I put her name? Oh no, I wrote it and now I can't find it.
I think I must have seen something.
He's got a white boat with big red letters on the side of it called Floaty Boat, and he has I don't think he's doing YouTube. I think he's just doing like Instagram. So then there was a young lady we met in Beaufort, North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
and she's from New York City, and she's a graphic artist, and she has a site called The Ludist.
The Ludist.
Lewdist.
Okay.
Beautiful artwork. It's I guess soft porn sort of, but not offensive, but it's just beautiful. And
Right.
I would love when she told me about it. She's like, you might not want to look at it. And once I did, it was just gorgeous.
Right.
Yeah. So I wanted to. Yeah, and then our hometown. This is stupid, but WXPN, in our hometown.
WXPN.
WXPN. It's our public radio station, and they are one of the coolest public radio stations in the country. You know, they're always giving voice to new artists.
Yeah.
And like people that you hear if you listen to the radio, and all of a sudden you hear some obscure person come up. You know, they've been getting play already.
Right.
For
Right.
6 months. You know, they've been traveling around, putting in the hours.
In the time,
trying to-
yeah. I love the radio. When I'm in a car, I
Yeah.
typically, if I'm not listening to an audiobook, I'm just flipping through terrestrial radio.
Yeah.
Just because I like to hear what they're listening to in
Yeah.
Kentucky,
Yeah.
and you know, obviously you run through the top 40 a lot,
yeah.
but I don't know. I've always found it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
One of the favorite ones that we found along the way was WDNA in Miami.
WDNA. Huh?
WDNA in Miami, and they do a lot of Latin, Cuban, American. There's this DJ on there, this girl, she's called DJ Swanky. She's awesome. Yeah, so, yeah.
Cool. All right.
I'm sure there's more, but that's okay.
Yeah, no worries. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll do another one. You never
Yeah,
know.
Let's do another
I'm
one.
always here. Well, thank
We're
you
not leaving,
so much again for the presence. And
Thanks for the book.
yeah, everybody, thanks for tuning in and listening. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. And if you enjoy the podcast and want to support it, just go to podbean.com and you can become a patron and keep the show on the air. Also, if you like the music at the beginning, the album is called Deep Teal and the artist is Adrian Edson. It's available on Amazon Music. And if you want the full story of the trip around the world, the book, the Kindle book, and the audiobook can all be found on Amazon.com. Sailing into Oblivion, the solo nonstop voyage of the mighty Sparrow. Fair winds and following seas.